Welcome to Unpacking the Athlete podcast, hosted by yours truly, Rob Martin. Welcome to Unpacking the Athlete, a podcast dedicated to diving deep into what makes athletes who they are. Today's guest is a Michigan native and loves gravel and mountain bike racing. Some of his top accomplishments are as follows. His third place finish at the Moran 166 in 2021. His progression and success at Iceman from 2016 to 2022. And placing 10th at the Barry-Roubaix in 2021, averaging 24 miles an hour for the whole race. Our guest today is Garrett Jenema. He helped put together Glory, and we'll talk more about that later. Welcome, Garrett. Let's get the conversation rolling.
Hi, Rob. Thanks for having me.
Hey, I'm glad you could be here.
Yeah.
First question is always off the wall, and today's is no exception. If you had to choose an old, fast guy to do a stage mountain bike race with, let's say the Cape Epic.
Okay.
Which old guy are you choosing? Brian Motter, Jeff Kabush, or Tinker Juarez?
I have to say Brian Motter just because he's from Wisconsin and we got the Midwest. If we can go crush Cape Epic and represent the Midwest, that'd be pretty awesome.
Hey.
Yeah, and I've always looked up to him. He's a legend if you're from Michigan or anywhere in the Midwest, just because he's won the Triple Crown, which no one often talks about, the Ore-to-Shore, Schwamigan, and Iceman, the big three. So I'd just say Brian Motter would be awesome to race with him.
That is a good pick. I like that pick.
Can't go wrong with anyone on the list, though.
No. And I think that maybe you guys should do that. I think you guys should go do Cape Epic.
Yeah, that would be insane. The logistics to get to Cape Epic are nuts. I've heard some athletes, like, you have to bring your own water so you don't get sick along the way. And then it would be awesome, though, 7 days of racing the best in the world. Can't go wrong there.
Right. Yeah. So, I don't know. Brian, if you're listening.
Let's set that
up. Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get serious.
Oh, no.
Let's start with the third place at the Moran 166 and tell us first what the race is and a little bit about the course.
Yep. So the Moran 166 is a pretty flat course because it takes place in the Eastern UP, but that can lead to some ripping times if the winds are pretty calm. It's only 3,000 feet or so of elevation and 166 miles. So it's pan flat. There's some false flats around the course, but overall super fast. And that race, 2021 was the inaugural year of that race. And Jason Lowitz and the Bear Claw crew kind of put that on. And it's really awesome. I mean, I love the UP, so any chance to get up there and explore that area is really fun. And the race has grown. Like last year, there was way more people than the first year. So it's an awesome race to be a part of. And now it's in the Michigan Gravel Race Series. So it's really established itself as like an awesome ultra race. It's just awesome to rip that fast for that long rather than like have grinding climbs all the time. You're just like time trialing, going super fast the whole time. So it's a great race. And the gravel up there is like hard packed, perfect, not much sand that you'd expect like in the Lower Peninsula, or at least in the Traverse City area. It just leads to some beautiful views along the way and a ripping course.
Nice. Is that mostly all gravel then with a little road?
Yeah, I don't know the exact split, but there's definitely some road up there, but it's mostly gravel because you go through the Hiawatha National Forest. So a ton of forest roads that are just pristine.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Yeah, it's awesome. Put it on the list if anyone out there wants to do a sweet gravel race.
Heck yeah. Put it on your list, everybody.
Uh-huh.
Now, how about you paint a picture for that race for us from start to finish and how it went?
All right, here we go. I have a great story. That race, it was my first ultra, I guess you'd call it ultra or super endurance long race. Started out super fast. We were going like 25 the first hour or so. And I was like, this is insane. My heart rate is pegged. Like, how am I going to ride the rest of this race? It's things sort of settled down. And then around mile 20, I dropped my chain.
Ooh.
And it was just sort of a bummer moment because as I dropped my chain and the time it took me to catch back up, the lead group sort of attacked and established itself of about 6 riders or so. So then, here we are, mile 20. I have to do a full 20-minute effort to catch back up. And then as soon as I get to the group, I can see there's guys off the front. So I was sort of bummed to miss that split. But I just kept grinding with the big group we had, never gave up. And then as the miles went by, people slowly started to fade off the back of that second group. And around mile 100 or so, we started catching some riders who were dropping off the break. And all of a sudden we ended up racing for third, which was awesome. Because initially I was like, man, race is over at mile 20, and managed to catch some riders. And all of a sudden we're in a position to race for third. So I think there was a group of 7 of us or so coming into the finish. And it's sort of hilarious to, at the end of 166 miles, there's a 7 or so person sprint for the podium. So I'm glad I did my course recon before, because the finish is a maybe 500-meter sprint. And then you turn right into like the finishing field or so. And there's some twists and turns that they threw in there. So I was prepared for like being into the field first, because there wasn't going to be an easy opportunity to pass after that. So set up, sprint, got into the field first, and came across third, which was awesome. Just pushed through a race day that's 8 hours long was a big accomplishment for me. I've never done anything like that before. So to know I was capable to have something like that under my belt was some nice confidence, knowing that I can do the long events as they're becoming so popular. And this year I'm doing Unbound, so I can take things I've learned from that race day and hopefully apply them to Unbound, which is 200 miles, so a little longer. Yeah, it was a good experience to get that first big race under my belt.
Yeah, the longer gravel scene is definitely picking up.
Yeah.
And I was going to ask you what Unbound, but you answered that 200. You're doing the big guy.
Yeah.
Nice. That'll be fun.
Mm-hmm. Got to get some big miles in before that too. I'm going to hopefully be more prepared than I was for Moran, because that was sort of like my first, honestly, long ride over 6 hours ever. So coming up to Unbound, I'll have to get some nice 7-8 hour days in just to get that base fitness for a long ride like that.
Yeah, you'll get it. You'll get it. Let's move to mountain biking and talk about what Iceman is for maybe those that don't know, and maybe do like a quick 30-second description of it.
Iceman is a point-to-point race the first Saturday in November. It sort of caps off everyone's last race of the year. It's generally around 30 miles, 1,500 feet of climbing or so. So it leads to a really fast race when you're trying to race with the pros, and everyone is just having a really fast day out. It gets punchy at the end, so you can't blow yourself up in the first half. You got to save some for the end. And then it all leads to an awesome finish around 3:00 or whenever the pros, just everyone's there. The crowd is awesome. The atmosphere just can't be beat. So it's an awesome day out.
The best day.
Yeah.
All right. Now talk about how you have progressed through Iceman from your first one in 2016 to this past year, and how that's gone.
Yeah. So my first one in 2016, I think that was my first year sort of reconnecting with the bike or learning about the sport. And I initially was signed up. So in 2016, I was 16. I was initially signed up for the Slush Cup because I've never ridden 30 miles. And then luckily my uncle talked me in and got me into the Iceman like junior race, which was the smart thing to do. I was like, I can handle 30 miles, but it was totally unknown for me. I didn't know if I could do it. So 2016 went from the junior race and just enjoyed it. Like I was like, oh, I can do this. And then that's when I sort of fell in love with the sport, just because of that atmosphere, watching the pros come in. It was awesome. And then each year kept riding my bike a little more, training a little bit, doing some intervals, and just got better and better. And in 2019, I did the pro race for the first time, which was a hectic experience. Safe to say I wasn't like fully training like a pro, but I was able to sign up and race with them, which was great. And I ended up 26th in that race, which was an awesome experience. I got a taste of coming up icebreaker with the crowds for the first time, which was fantastic. And then 2021, the next Iceman, I got 16th, so a little bit of improvement that year. 2021 definitely took riding and racing more serious, so always trying to get a better result. And then last year, 2022, I got 11th place, just missed the top 10. I had really good legs last year, but I just sort of wasn't in the right position when the fireworks went off with like 8-ish miles to go. Alexi threw a huge attack off the front and the group just strung out. And once that elastic snaps, that was sort of my race for at least the podium was over. But anyways, kept improving every year, and it just culminates like a hard year of racing, and everyone's there to have a good time. So I love that race. It's in my blood. And like Timber Ridge, I live a mile from the finish. So even before I started racing, I'd always hear the speakers, and I'm like from my house. So I'd be like, what's going on there? And to finally be able to be a part of it and enjoy that atmosphere is something I really love.
I didn't realize you lived so close.
Yeah. Yeah. It's my backyard. That's why also it means a lot to me. Like I'll ride the course, parts of the course once, twice a week minimum, like during the summer. So it's definitely got a special place for me. So to be on the top step someday is definitely, I'm going to do everything I can to make it happen. And that would be just a dream come true.
That would be epic.
Yeah.
I think Iceman for all of us in Michigan kind of has a special place. Just like you said, it's the end of the season. It's pretty much the last race. I mean, there are some cyclocross things you can do, and maybe another mountain bike race or two, but it's just the end of the year, all party, give it everything you've got type of race. It's fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's awesome.
Can you talk about how the race went this past November from beginning to end?
Yeah, so Iceman 2022, we start on the airport, and I lined up early so I could get a good spot, like first row, because that is crucial, and it can take a little bit of that stress off as if you had to start like 10 rows back. So I was lucky enough, lined up early. Gun goes off, go through the airport, and I'm thinking, I wanted to be like first five wheels. And that just led to me sitting on the front, like for the first kilometer. I was like, it was insane. I was like, why am I sitting on the front right now? But then I didn't want to be anywhere else, and I felt fine. So I just stayed in good position. A rider came around me, ended up second going into the single track. So I was like, here I am. Cool. Step one, get through the airport. And then the race was it was on for the first 20 minutes, got pretty tough, stayed in good position, shuffled around as things do. And then the first selection point for me was going into maybe the third section of single track towards like the water bottle hill area. I wanted to be near the front there. So I made sure to do that. I was probably third wheel or so. And then my saddle slipped. So instead of sitting flat, perfect, all of a sudden it was at like pointing way down, and I couldn't even sit on it to slide. I was just sliding off the saddle. So I was like, oh man, that sort of rattled me mentally a bit, took me off, pure race focus. So I was trying to like bounce on it to get it to flatten out, but it never did. Ended up losing some wheels there, ended up going into the single track like 15th or so. And then the race really lit up in the single track. I sort of figured out how to sit on my seat again and power through it, but I managed to get dropped off the lead group because that elastic strung out a little bit. And then teamed up as the race sort of kept going on, teamed up with Casey Hildebrandt and Lars Hallstrom. And all three of us worked really great together and brought back that lead group around just after Broomhead Road, which tends to be a theme as that lead group sits up on the Sand Lakes Broomhead section because no one wants to pull through in the open areas, which was good for us. So we were able to get back on the lead group, but unfortunately burnt a lot of matches to get there. settled back into the front group. And, my main mistake was, as the race went on, was I felt like it was a victory just to get back to the lead group. And mentally, I wasn't checked out, but I didn't have that focus I needed in positioning in the group. So once those attacks were launched, I was sitting near the back, and it just got so strung out. My legs felt great, but I couldn't match those guys and catch back up just because the 5-10 second gap just stayed right there, and ended up rolling in with Jordan, Wakely, and one other rider. And Jordan got the best of me. He got that 10th place spot, and I got 11th. But it was still a good race. I had great legs. Just some silly mistakes might have cost me a better result.
A silly seat slip.
Silly seat slip. The 2022 silly seat slip.
Say that 10 times in a row.
Seat slip.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I didn't know your seat did that.
Yeah, it happens. And like when you're 100% focused, little things like that, or all of a sudden having to adjust your position, can take you out of it a little bit. And that's what happened to me. But, just got to tighten stuff down more next time.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't let the silly seat slip happen again.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about Barry-Roubaix, what it is, and what race distance you did in 2021.
Barry-Roubaix is like the classic gravel race. It was a gravel race before gravel was gravel. It's like, let's go race road bikes on dirt roads. I don't have as much history with that race because I just started doing it. I think like 2019 was maybe my first year. I did the 36 mile. But then in 2021, I did the 60 mile, and there were some bigger names there like Pete Stetina and Alexei Vermeulen. So to race with those guys, I was like, wow, this is insane. I'm on Pete Stetina or Alexei's wheel. This is awesome. So in 2021, that was like the first time I was realized like, oh, maybe I can go fast at this, because I finished in that like second group with Pete and some other gravel pros. So that was a nice little confidence boost in 2021 to know I can dig deep and hang with those guys. This year I'll be doing the 60 mile again, and just looking forward to hopefully getting near that top step this time. Definitely training more.
That's cool.
Yep.
If you were not great on the bike like you are, what would you be doing in life?
That's a great question, because I don't know the answer. I sort of got the bug for biking, and it's literally consumed every aspect. I mean, from working at bike shops to training all the time. It's what I do. I honestly couldn't tell you if I wasn't a biker, because I'm just sort of chasing this lifestyle at the moment, biking as much as I can and racing. Yeah, I think though, once everything comes to an end, I would like to do something in the health field of some kind. Not sure what that looks like, but that's what interests me the most. If I were to get a professional career off the bike once I'm a proper adult, probably something in the health occupations. But time will tell. I'm still undecided on what I'd be doing. Yeah.
That's okay. You're young. You've got lots of time.
Yeah. That's one thing I sometimes make sure to be like, you know what, just do what you love, because I don't want to look back and be like, well, I wish I did that or that. I just want to do what I can if I have the opportunities.
And I think that's what you should do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Thinking about your short career so far, because you're young.
Yeah.
Is there any event that was really challenging but ended up being fun at the same time? Can you walk us through that?
Some of them are just challenging. First thing that comes to mind is lumberjack. 2021 was the first time I did lumberjack. Lumberjack is a 100-mile mountain bike event, and that was really tough. That's just hard, riding your mountain bike 100 miles. So in the moment, I remember the year I did it. So the first year I did it, great weather, the first lap. So it's 3 laps of about 33 miles. There was some great weather. I was like, this is great. I'm feeling good. And then the second lap, the weather turned for the worst. And we got, 2 inches of rain like instantly.
Oh,
So it went from really fun to really, really challenging. The single track basically filled, it was like a river or stream, all that Michigan single track, sort of like an inch divot in the ground. So that was just full of water that whole second lap. And I remember being in like my easiest gear on some of the flats, just trying to like grind through it because the bike was getting so gunked up. And then the weather sort of cleared on the third lap and it sort of became fun again. But then you have, 66 miles of just grinding in your legs. So super hard challenge, but that race is awesome, super fun. And that's one I think that was like the first time I was like, I almost didn't know if I could finish, but pushed through, and it was a blast when I was all said and done. Yeah.
that's definitely challenging.
Yeah.
That like reminds me of two things. That reminds me of my first lumberjack where the weather was pretty good. It was a little
Hmm.
humid and hot, but that's better than what you had. I had talked to a few people and asked questions on how I could fuel for that race. And so I had food and sandwiches and things that I was told that worked well. Well, once I started riding, my mouth was so dry, I couldn't eat any food. So there was nothing I could eat. And I went past the last aid station on my last lap, and then everything fell apart. Cramps, both legs.
Hmm.
I I had to go to the bathroom. I went to the bathroom and it burned because I hadn't had enough fluid or food.
Oh gosh.
I couldn't climb hills because I was pukey, so I would walk up
Yeah.
the hills and then I'd get on my bike and go down the hills. So that
Brutal.
reminds me. But other than that, Lumberjack is a great race, and like you said, 100 miles is kind of tough to do on the mountain bike.
Yeah. Yeah. That's another thing is fueling for those long races is just as hard as the actual riding. It becomes like
Yeah.
it's funny to say it's like an eating contest who can eat the best to fuel their muscles. Cause 5 hours in, nothing sounds good. And you're just
Oh,
forcing yourself to eat, the
yeah.
carbs because you need them. Yeah, that's brutal. Lumberjack's a hard one, but it leads to memories like that where you're like, oh, I'm never going to do that again during the race. And then you finish and you're instantly like, oh, I got to make sure to sign up.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what does work for me and I found now is Ensures.
Is what?
Ensure the
Oh, yeah.
shakes.
Yeah.
So those
Yep.
work for me because I can swallow those and it gives me the protein, the carbs, and the fats, and so
Yeah.
that's what I found to work for me. My second thought when you told me about the mud, I think of I don't remember what year it was. I think it was 2 years ago, maybe the Crystal Mountain peak to peak race
Oh, yes,
where
dude.
we that we were on the start line, and they should have sent us off so we could at least been warm and riding. But what happened was they delayed the start. Then it started downpouring, and I think it was like 35 degrees out or something.
Yeah. It was cold and raining. That's all
So
I remember.
yeah, so we had to go in this tent, the food tent, to kind of stay out of the rain and try to stay warm. And then they sent us off and it was still raining. And I remember going down the road and the water from all the bikes was hitting my forehead and my forehead felt like it was going to freeze. And then we got onto the single track and it was just greasy, slidey nastiness. So
Yeah, that dirt in Crystal Mountain leads to it just gets greasy when it's wet. So you're just sliding around the whole time.
yeah, so that was when you say rain, I thought of that race and I remember I had to replace. I didn't, but I should have replaced a bunch of stuff on my bike because
Yeah, same here. It's all like, should have changed brake pads and chain after that, but you just run it till Iceman and then it's all destroyed after that too.
yeah, and that was my downfall at Iceman that year. Is I was that was probably my best Iceman, the best shape I'd been in. I was running really good, and then I dropped a chain, and
Oof.
then I put it back on and caught back up and dropped a chain, and then
Yeah,
I dropped a chain. 3 times I dropped a chain that year, and that just oh
it's
yeah.
brutal. I've had a couple drop chains wreck a couple races for me too. I don't know why, but that's the worst when like a mechanical or something like that just takes you out of it.
It
Oh,
does. With all
it's a
the
part of it though.
It is a part of it. It's tough with all the hard work you put in.
Yeah.
All right. What has been your favorite bike along the way? I know you're young, but you have to have one that kind of sticks out.
Yeah. Oh, all right. I'm sorting through them in my head right now. My current mountain bike, the Norco Revolver full suspension, I set it up with 120 travel front and rear. That bike has been a blast. I've gained so much confidence just on my descending and somewhat technical skills on that thing just because of that little extra suspension. That bike's been awesome. I think that's been my favorite because I've been able to just progress and learn so much on that bike. That's probably my favorite. And a good mountain bike ride is my favorite thing to do. So I'm gonna
Yeah,
go with my current mountain bike. That's been probably my favorite so far.
I like full suspension as well. It just seems to
Mhm.
be a very versatile bike. You could use it. I mean, you can lock the shock and the fork out and use it on a gravel race or a gravel ride, and you can do it on a mountain bike. And I mean, it just pretty much can go anywhere. You can enduro with it. You can even downhill
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah, seriously, if you if you got the dropper post and enough suspension, you can work your way down some steep trails. So it's a
Yeah,
good all rounder.
I like it.
Yeah.
At this point in your early young life, would you rather race your bike, chase a KOM, or go on an adventure ride with friends on the mountain bike? And why?
Oh, all three sound good. I mean, honestly, my favorite thing is probably an adventure ride with some friends, especially on the mountain bike. I've done that a couple times in Marquette, and even at home, just going out and doing a ton of single track with some buddies is a blast. So I think that's like those are my roots. That's why I like riding my bike. That's why I started just the adventure, finding new trails, riding with friends. That's like the my favorite thing when it comes down to it. So an adventure ride for sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
That's definitely a fun time.
Yeah. And then you could argue though, right now I'm like, just can't wait to race because I've been training all winter. So it's like, I want to say racing, but it depends on the time of year. It's
Yeah,
can't go
yeah,
wrong with any three.
I agree. But then you threw Marquette into the adventure ride, and that's just
Yeah. That's the best. There's so much good stuff to find up there.
game changer.
Mm.
Yeah. Let's go back in time a little bit
Mhm.
and talk about where you grew up, what school you went to, how you
Yeah.
progressed through school, that kind of stuff.
Sure. School stuff. So grew up in Traverse City. Still reside there most of the year. Went to Traverse City Central High School and then graduated. And like I said earlier, still undecided on what I want to study. So I got an associate's from NMC, which is the local school there, Northwestern Michigan College. And then right as soon as I got that, the pandemic started. So then everything went online and no one really knew what was happening. So I put a little bit of a halt on school. It's a pretty big investment to just not know if you can go to class or not. Since started working and riding more. But then in the last 2 years, I've been slowly just taking a couple classes each semester to chip away at my bachelor's. Like I said, something health occupations, looking at studying exercise science or biology with my concentration in physiology, but I don't have to make this split yet. I'm still slowly working towards, okay, what do you want to do, dude? So that's my educational background.
Do you remember when you got started on the bike or how that happened?
Yeah, so when I was a kid, just like most people would go for bike rides with friends, or I distinctly remember going on like gravel rides on the Betsy River Trail with my grandpa. We'd ride maybe 5 miles. There was a campground, get a candy bar, and then ride back to his house. And I remember having those memories as a kid, just loving the bike. But then as I got a little older, started playing baseball, and then in high school, my main sport was golf. So the bike sort of just disappeared. I didn't really ever bike. And then one day, sort of funny. I was a little like frustrated as a kid. My dad gave me a huge list of chores. I think I was like 15. It was summer break. And this big list of chores led me to just go blow off some steam. So I was like, I'm going to go for a bike ride. I live near the Vasa trailhead. So I rode to there, did the Kinglet Loop, came back home, and I was like, wow, that was kind of fun. So that ride of just trying to blow off some steam about my big chore list when I was a kid led me to going out to the Vasa more, exploring all these trails, getting absolutely lost, which is like, now that I think about it, I was so unprepared for all those rides I'd went on. I'd take a bottle of water and that's it. No tube, didn't check the air pressure in the tires, just went and rode for hours in the woods. And then from there, slowly learning about races, found, I think 2016, like did peak to peak, the 10 mile, and then Iceman, and then just sort of kept riding for a couple years for fun like that. And then really started taking it more serious in like 2020. Unfortunately, when the pandemic happened, had to cancel a bunch of ride and race plans, but started training really hard and it's just kept going from there. So went from those adventure rides to doing some races, local races, to training and riding as much as I can over those last 6 years or so.
Nice. So
Yeah.
thanks, Dad, for the chore list.
Yeah. Seriously, little does he know.
So good. So you said baseball and golf. Did you do any other sports in your past, or were those pretty much it?
Those were it when I was a little older. Like in elementary, did soccer and basketball, the works, but and track and field and cross country. I forgot about all those. Wow, in middle school, and then stopped running and doing baseball at the end of middle school, and in high school just did golf because my brother did, and I just like being outside too. So that's another sport where you're outside all the time and work on the mental game in that in that sport. It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Golf, a
Hmm.
sport that I don't play much anymore.
Yeah. Me either. I think last summer I only went out like once and I was like, I mean, it's fun, but I'm like, oh, I'll just go for a ride instead.
Did anyone influence you to get on the bike, or was it just basically that chore list?
My uncle, Tim Jenema, I like to consider him like my bike mentor. He's the one who the sport can have a lot of hoops or weird things you don't know at all. You know, Lycra, who's wearing these skinny, tight clothes, all this stuff, clipless pedals, what are those? So he really helped. Like when I started going for rides, I'd go on rides with him. He'd show me all the trails. And then he'd take me to like Crystal Mountain. We did that 10-mile race and then Iceman. And he was always there for me to, I could ask questions. He brought me to group rides, introduced me to so many people. So yeah, TJ really helped me learn about the sport, what to eat. You put this heat in your bottles when you ride so you don't bonk. And he was there for me to get me through those like first 2 years of how do you ride. And then I remember the first ride I was ever like dropped him. We were in our Arcadia just riding those trails. And I remember dropping him on the climbs and I was like, wow, I'm actually faster than him now. So that's a core memory I have of riding with him. But yeah, I'd say my Uncle Tim, he's always been there, answered all my questions, even to this day. Someone I look up to.
Props to Uncle T.
Yeah. And there's so many other people who have
Yeah,
helped me, you know, taught me so much. But, when I was just first starting out, I'd say he was the guy. He was my man.
nice.
Yeah.
That's cool. So you talked about the 10-mile race at Peak to Peak. Was that your first ever race?
Yeah, I think I've done the slush cup like or the snow cone when I was really little. But the peak to peak 10 miler, one lap, that was like the first official race that I did that got me started. Yeah.
Why don't do you remember that race? If you could walk us through how that race went for you.
I remember a little bit about it. It was like my first time riding with people too. I remember I was like, there were younger kids doing the 2-lapper, and I was like, that's crazy. How can they do 26 miles when they're 14, 15? Because I believe I was 16 for that. Anyways, as the race got off, I just remember like one dude crashed, and then I was like with the front 3 guys, and then we don't do that huge climb, but as we were going around the backside of the mountain, I remember I sort of like started just riding harder and ended up like being solo off the front. And I remember coming up that grassy climb that the 1-lap does, and then went across the finish line. I was like, oh, I just won. That was cool. So maybe that, I feel like I was sandbagging a little, but that was still like 10 miles for me. I was like, wow, that was a big race. So yeah, those are my memories from that first race. And I was there with TJ. He helped me fix my bike up. We went and did that together.
Man, so you won your first race.
Yeah, the 10-miler at peak to peak.
Nice. I think I'm going to sign up for that this year. I'm going to do the 10-miler.
The key is to sandbag when you don't realize that you're sandbagging.
Right. Oh. All right. I've got some game plans for the season now.
Yeah.
So you just did a big training block.
Mm-hmm.
How many hours a week were you on the bike average, or how many did you get up to?
So the last couple weeks, currently down here in Western North Carolina, to do some proper training. I have a friend who just moved here, and I've been able to rent out a room from him, which is awesome. Shout out Lars. So I've been slowly building up to, I was doing about 20 hours a week for 3 weeks or so, and then took a rest week. And then this latest block that I mentioned, I did about 24 hours week 1, 25 week 2, and then 30 hours week 3. And right now I'm on the rest week following that 30-hour week. I'm just building that base. I've never had a proper base season or trained. I guess you trained like a pro over the winter. So looking forward to having this opportunity to really build some serious fitness and be able to not only like make the front group at any race I'm at, but be a factor in all the races I sign up for. That's the goal. Not just, hang on to the front group, but be a part of the race and make it dynamic if I can. So those big hours are a part of that.
Yeah. And how much elevation did you get in last week?
40,000 feet of vert, which is insane to me. That's how much I do like all summer at home, because you just do like 3,000 to 5,000. So yeah, I think it was last week, 30 hours, around 420 miles. That includes a couple mountain bike rides and 40,000 feet of elevation, which was insane.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but more motivated than ever. So it was honestly fun to dig in and see what I could do.
Yeah. And how's your body feeling right now during recovery week after all that?
Pretty good, honestly. I've been making sure to eat as much good food and as much food as I can to just recover and absorb all that. Because burning like 4,000 calories a day, you got to eat as much to, build the muscle and endurance. But feeling pretty good. Yeah. It's sort of, I'm like, what do I do all day now? I don't have to ride for 6 hours. So catching up on some schoolwork and some other stuff. So it's been nice.
What's your favorite thing to eat right now?
I'm on a big burrito kick. So and it's easy to make, because usually I'm like so tired after rides and stuff. So Instapot some rice and beans, cut up some peppers or chicken, whatever, toss it in there. That's the go-to. Or a classic like bowl of cereal as a snack.
A classic cereal, he says.
Yeah.
What's the cereal?
Currently we're running with Honey Nut Cheerios.
All right. Some Honey Nut Cheerios.
Yeah.
Standard issue Honey Nut Cheerios.
Yep.
Who has been, could be multiple people,
mm-hmm.
your biggest competition along the way? And maybe take us through a race where you guys or you and that person went head to head.
Looking over the years, I've raced with a bunch of other folks. The first couple guys that come to mind are Kyan, my now teammate Kyan Olshavy, and Jordan Wakely. I just think about all those awesome battles we've had at Mud, Sweat, and Beers. I go back and forth with those guys often, or at least at a lot of Michigan races. Those are some of the guys that I'm squaring up with constantly, and we always push each other, and it's fun because then we can, after the race, we're chatting about it, and dude, you were so strong in this section and I was almost dropped. So it's fun to ride and compete with those guys. And then there's some other folks too. My buddy Lars, him and I go back and forth at some gravel and mountain bike races. Those are some of the main people I can think of that I ride with or race with the most. Those couple Michiganders.
Nice. Yeah. That's kind
Yeah.
of what I was thinking. I know that you guys have had some good battles here with some
Mhm.
races for sure.
Yeah, it's really fun and keeps you motivated to keep training so you can get them next time, which is what I'm working on because I think Kyan got the best of me last year. I almost had that Crystal Mountain peak to peak win this year, but I like blew it in the last corner and went way wide, and he came inside and got the win. So that lights the fire, going back and forth with those guys is fun.
I saw that finish. That was crazy.
I know. I thought I had it, and then I was thinking, I was like, well, if I just like block the whole corner, I'll be fine. And then here I am halfway around the corner, like, oh, I'm going way too fast. What am I thinking? But it happens. That's racing.
Yeah. All right. Fuel for the fire.
Hmm.
Why do you love the sport and what keeps you going?
I think I love the sport because I can always go for a bike ride regardless of like what I got going on off the bike. It just helps me clear my mind, makes me feel grounded, just it's really good for like my mental health. I'm always riding. It just keeps me busy. If I got to work on something or something's bothering me, I go for a ride, think things through. And then other than like just riding because it's makes me feel good, I've also come to enjoy the process of training and racing. That's been a really fun focus to work on lately, is focusing more on training rather than the adventure. But even going on training rides, I'm still like finding new routes, and it's still an adventure in a sense. So to just sort of take riding for the good mental aspects, clearing my head, then adding adventure and now racing, there's just so much you can do with it. So that's what keeps me going, is whether I just want to clear my head or want to go smash some intervals, I can do it on the bike.
How long are you staying down there where you're at right now?
So I'll be down here for another 2 weeks or so. So about to wrap up my time here, get back home in Traverse City, smash some cold winter miles, and get back to work. I saved up a bunch over the summer and fall so I could come down here and just train and do school and not have to find a job, which I'm thankful for. Got to go back to real life and work a little bit here. So 2 more weeks, and yeah, then I'll be home, smash some winter fat bike rides, hopefully, and then get started racing end of March.
Nice. Do you incorporate strength training into your routine at all?
Yes, I try to, keyword try to. Like each winter, I'll definitely hit the gym twice a week. This year, I should have been going to the gym a little more than I have been, but I'm still going once or twice a week right now just to build some of that, be more of a well-rounded athlete rather than just hunched over on a bike. That's one thing I want to work on throughout the year, is to continue to go to the gym, just because hopefully I can add some power, but also just work on those like stabilizing muscles and everything that you don't realize you're using when you're riding. I could unlock some fitness or just some more comfort on those long rides if I keep my gym regimen consistent.
Do you have a favorite piece of equipment or routine that you like? I mean, you like the machines? Do you like free weights? Do you like a kettlebells?
Now, I'm not like the most knowledgeable person in the gym, but I do like the squat rack. It's fun to get some squats in and maybe some RDLs. But also, I like some of the cable, like doing some cable rows just to work on my back. But other than that, really, I have a strength coach, so I just read the workouts and figure them out and do it like that. But favorite equipment is probably the classic squat rack. I like doing some squats.
Solid.
Yeah.
Solid squats. Squats equal watts.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see.
So if you have an A race coming up, What does your week look like? How many days off? Do you do openers? Are you still doing any strength training? What's going on in a week of a race?
hmm So race week, we're gonna do cut out weight training, not go to the gym. We're probably gonna do an interval session Monday or Tuesday to just keep that top end sharp, and then probably easy rides Wednesday, Thursday. This is if the race is on Saturday. So easy rides Wednesday, Thursday, and then just do some openers on Friday, open up that system again, double check on the top end, and then recover and race.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
Yep. The usual.
You use any supplements pre-race, during the race, after the race?
I'll have some electrolytes before the race. And then actually, I guess lately I have been experimenting with this AMP lotion or AMP human. And I'd say like 2 out of 3 times I'm like noticing a difference. I don't know if it's placebo or not, but if I think it makes me feel good, I'm going to use it. So that AMP lotion, I started doing that a little more last year. I guess that'd be a pre-race supplement. And then other than that, that's about it. Yeah. It's just some electrolytes and then that AMP lotion.
Nice. And then
Yeah.
after hard workouts in a race, what do you do for recovery, food and maybe device wise or exercise stretch wise?
I have nothing specific on the food side of things, but I'm generally pretty good after workouts to stretch. I have like a nice before bed stretch routine I've been trying to do every day. And then also I have one of those percussive massage guns, I guess they're called.
Yeah.
So I use that often and just to, shake out some of that fatigue, which I've noticed actually helps quite a bit. After a race, there's usually so much going on. I really miss the stretch window or the like Theragun window, but I try to do it after a good workout.
Good.
hmm Everyone's talking about these ice baths too. I feel like I should be maybe doing some of those sometimes. Seeing everyone jumping in a ice bath.
Yeah, I have been seeing that as well. I just, boy, I just really don't like jumping in ice.
I know. When it comes down to it, it's like the training hurts enough. Why jump in a cold bucket of water?
Right. I mean, especially here in Michigan in the winter, you get done riding, you turn to ice as soon as you stop. You want to get in a hot tub,
Yeah, you need to
right?
warm up.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know about that. I mean, I'm sure there's something that it does for you, but I can't get myself to jump into an ice bath.
Yeah.
What's your favorite interval to do on the bike? High intensity, shorter ones, or maybe longer ones? What do you like?
Oh man, I don't know. I think my favorite sort of interval is going to be like that 4 to 6 minute range, which sounds insane. So just like VO2 max, just cranking out as hard as you can. Those are fun because in the moment they're kind of going by super slow, but overall I feel like they make a ride go by super fast doing those like 4 by 5 minute efforts or 8 by 5 minute efforts, whatever is on the schedule. I like those like not super short and not super long, just mid-range VO2 intervals.
Yeah.
And because it's awesome to see the big watts.
The big
Yeah,
watts over
the
five
big
minutes.
watts of the 4 minute effort.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. What's the biggest waste of time when people are training in your mind?
I think if you're on the bike, I'm sure there's some things you could do wrong, but from my point of view, if you're out there riding, it's never a waste of time as long as you're, spinning on the trainer or outside enjoying a ride. I think there's more benefits in just getting out there and doing the work or riding rather than not doing anything at all.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, that's my thought. I don't know. I'm sure some people you can overtrain or do too much strength and high intensity at the same time. May be something you do wrong, but I think if you're out there trying to be healthy is always a good thing.
What do you feel is the most important thing to do after a hard workout or a race?
I think the most important thing to do is eat as soon as possible, or as soon as all those endorphins get out of your system and you can eat. Within the first hour, getting a nice meal or shake, whatever you need to just give the body some fuel to recover is probably the most important thing.
Agreed.
Yeah.
If there was one race that you could do over, what would it be and what would you have done differently?
I think Ore to Shore, this year's Ore to Shore, if I wish I could do that over again. I had some really good fitness coming into that race, but I ended up just making some silly mistakes trying to make up time on a couple sketchy little downhills. And I had a really big, probably my biggest crash ever in a race this year at Ore to Shore on just a little downhill trying to make up a second rather than thinking and finding the right line. I went down this hill and I sent it into the bushes like at full speed. Luckily, I mean, after laying there for 5 seconds, I got up, kept riding, and then had to adjust my shifters and stuff got all out of whack. So I had to fix those, and then started catching people again, and then managed to wipe out in a corner again and I caused a pile up. I feel bad about it, but I just lost the front wheel in this corner. And all of a sudden the group behind me just basically slammed into me. I just missed the front group on that race, and I love Ore to Shore. So to have some silly crashes, lead to not the best results and just crashing in general, I wish I could do that race over again.
Sounds like a race you'd want to do over again. Well, you
Yeah, definitely.
2022 wasn't the greatest. Are you doing that in 2023 here?
Yes. Yep. I'll do Ore to Shore again this year. Hmm.
Okay. So there's redemption right there.
There's redemption. What else is, yeah, I've never had a good race at the 48 miler. So
Okay.
I think I've done it twice or three times. So hopefully I can get a good one here soon. That'd be nice. A nice clean race.
Yeah, that's what 2023 is. It's your year, man.
Yeah, thanks. I hope so too.
If you could spend 1 week training with another athlete or coach, who would it be and why? Anyone.
um, yeah, anyone in the world. I mean, first thing that pops up is like Nino, because who doesn't want to ride with like 10-time world champ?
Right.
I mean, honestly, you can't beat that. That would be awesome to just ride with Nino for a week would be awesome. I can't think of any. That's the first dude that popped in my head, so that's what I'm going to go with.
Yeah, that's exactly who I would think too. That,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
so if Nino's if Nino's listening, he could do a two for one, right? Get two. We could both go at the same time.
Yeah, a twofer. We'll have to go. I'll train with Nino one day. He's definitely listening. So
Yeah. Nice. Okay, so Nino Schurter,
hmm.
the best mountain biker ever.
Yeah. Maybe Vanderpool or Wout too. I mean, maybe these are basic answers, but those guys, Vanderpool. Oh, now my brain's clicking. Vanderpool, Pidcock, all those like dual athlete guys would be awesome to ride with too.
Yeah. Yeah,
Man, there's so many awesome riders though.
there are.
Anyway, yeah, one of those guys.
Okay. Do you do anything pre-competition to get yourself ready and motivated? Any routines, rituals?
I don't have a specific routine. I used to get in this weird habit in my head where like something would pop in my head, like if I don't know, put your left shoe on or this race won't go well type of stuff. So I've tried to like eliminate all rituals or, things like that just so I can have a clear mind rather than like, oh, I put my left shoe on before the right shoe. This isn't going to be good or something like that. So I don't have any ritual because you never know like what kind of hectic atmosphere is going to be at the start of the race. So I just sort of go with the flow, do my warm up, make sure I'm got my food, tools, and then race.
Nice. So no more superstitious stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. I can't handle it.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to do some stuff like that as well. And I still kind of do when I I like to play basketball. So what I'll
Mhm.
do is I'll make sure I always have a red shirt on. I just feel like I play better with a red shirt on, so I
Okay.
always wear a red shirt.
Like Tiger on Sunday. Rob Martin and Tiger, red shirt. So is that a red shirt like the jersey's red or just when you're picking up your packet and stuff, red shirt?
Red shirt while I'm playing basketball, while I'm out on the
Oh,
court.
okay. Okay, sorry. I thought this was somehow like
No,
okay, I see.
I switched gears on you. I went to basketball.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I just missed that. Okay, I hear you though.
Maybe I should get a red jersey for my sponsor team and say, "Hey, can you make it red? Because I just like red better. I feel like I'll race better in red. Maybe I do.
Make it red, and red is the color.
Red's the color, man." Do you listen to any music pre-competition to get yourself pumped or no?
Sometimes, yeah, I don't have like a specific playlist or anything, but maybe if I'm driving to the course, I'll put on some Drake song or something to get me hype if I'm feeling in the mood. Definitely listen to music doing intervals and stuff to stay to get, jacked up and hype.
Yeah, absolutely. Intervals because it's not a race, so you got to do something to jack yourself up.
Yeah, seriously.
So this year, 2023, you have probably Ore to Shore and Peak to Peak and Iceman on the calendar, and you said Unbound 200.
Yep.
What else do you have on the calendar that you know of right now?
This year, let's see. So next weekend I have a race in Georgia. It's called Southern Cross. It's like a 50-mile gravel race. I'm gonna do that with the 3TQM gravel team. That'll be kick off the year. I'm looking forward to that. And then end of March, first week of April, there's a US Pro Cup mountain bike race in Temecula, California. So I'm gonna go do that with the Great Lakes Off Road Initiative, Glory for short, mountain bike team. And then 2 weeks after that, I have an interesting week in the middle of April. I have the Pro Cup in Fayetteville on Wednesday. And then I'm going to drive Thursday back to Michigan and do Barry Roubaix on Saturday. It's sort of silly. Maybe it's not the best idea, but I have opportunities to do both races. So, best of both worlds. Why not just try it? Have a sweet double race week. And then after Barry is going to be Mud, Sweat, and Beers. And then the Bear Claw Epic in Cadillac.
Ooh,
And then
aren't you too
the
fast to race that?
it's a local race. I'd like to, if there's some races I can do in a day, I like to go be out there, say hi to everybody, and enjoy a good hard workout. Might as well. It's just down the road.
Okay.
So we got that, and then there's a Wars Series race. So Wisconsin Off Road, I think it's called, in the week after that in Wisconsin. Going to do those. And then after that is going to be Unbound 200 first week of June, and then Lumberjack 100. And then the following week after Lumberjack is the Lutsen 99er. It's a 100-mile race in Minnesota. That looks cool. Going to do that. And then 2 weeks later is USA Mountain Bike Nationals. So that's like the first half of the season is going to be insane. I've got, these
Wow.
shorter XCO, XC mountain bike races, and then June, just a huge endurance block of races. So it's going to be exciting to just test both ends of the spectrum, see what each event has to offer, see what is really my strength, all that good stuff. It's all on there.
Yeah. For mountain bike nats, you're going to do U23?
Actually, it's my first year elite. So unfortunately, I'm starting to do all these XCO races, and first year is going to be elite because my race age is 20, officially 23, so not under 23 anymore.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Which is all right though, putting in the training to get some results at those races.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, me either. I'm like, it's been insane. I feel like I've had this flip switch the past few weeks where it's like when I'm going for a ride or something, I'm just thinking about like races. I don't know. I'm just so excited to get going here.
Heck yeah.
It's going to be an awesome season. After nationals, not sure what I'm going to have before or to shore, and then Schwam again. Big Sugar gravel. I'm going to sign up for that. So I'm going to miss Peak to Peak this year, unfortunately, because they're
Okay.
the same weekend. And then Iceman. Those are a couple second half of the season races, but there's going to be definitely some more races in there that I just can't think of right now.
Nice. So
Yeah, so it's going to be awesome.
when you do the double race week, you
Mm-hmm.
said that might be a bad idea. Well,
Yeah.
Alexi didn't have a very good strategy before Iceman, and it worked out for him. So it's going to work out for you.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I'll shake out those car legs and crush Barry on Saturday. It's going to be awesome.
That's what we're talking about right there.
Yeah, here we go.
And you talked about Glory. Can you
Mhm.
explain who's involved in that and how that came about and what it is?
The Glory mountain bike team is me, Emma Schwab, Kyan Olshavy, and Max Meyer. And we've had help putting this together. We all have the same coach, Justin Morris. He's helped us put this together. And the idea is sort of to have a step, like a rung in the ladder for not only us, but other athletes in the future who want to race at the elite pro level to have the resources they need to get to all the races, because this sport's really hard to hit all the races that matter if you're working or at school. That was sort of the idea, put that rung in the ladder. And then also, rather than all of us going our separate ways and finding a team here or there to get support, we put together this program. So like we're all friends, we can all race together. And also it's been really awesome to get the support within like the Traverse City community and get the sponsors that we have. It sort of motivates me. It's like we have, all of our friends and sponsors on our back. Let's do our best at all these races and put TC on the map. So if once we're on the podium, it's like, what's this Great Lakes off-road team? Where Traverse City, Michigan, there's biking there, and really try to grow the sport, along the way, not only having the opportunities to race as much as we can, but, maybe inspire some other kid. Oh, look, there's this team. If I train really hard, I can go race and do achieve what I want to achieve. So trying to put that rung in the ladder and show people, or, have that pathway for someone wanting to take it to the next level.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah. It's been fun. We're going to get kicked off here pretty soon with racing.
You guys are going to put Traverse City on the map?
Yeah. And hopefully, it can grow to like just represent the whole Midwest in the future. Like right
Yeah.
now it's just us four, but we can establish it as a, Michigan team, Midwest team, and people can come and go.
It's a good
Yeah.
start.
Yeah.
Did you just see that squirrel go by?
Did you see it on this shadow?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I've been slowly just glancing over the computer and watching them, but yeah, there's always that's hilarious. There's always like squirrels romping around the backyard here.
He looked like he was like this big because of the shadow.
Dude, that's funny. I didn't even notice. That's hilarious. I'm gonna keep my eyes peeled now. What's funny here? There's like this breed of white squirrel, like genuinely white squirrels that are specific to like this part of the state, which is sort of hilarious.
Is that what
So
that was?
no, that wasn't a white one. I couldn't tell, but fun fact in Brevard, there's white squirrels everywhere, and you see them and you're like, what is that? It's just a squirrel. It's hilarious.
What is that?
Yeah.
What trail would you recommend that is a must ride anywhere in the United States that you have been on?
Anywhere in the United States.
Singletrack. Best trail that you like.
I instantly am just thinking of places I like to ride. I just think of like the UP, mainly because it's like accessible to where I live. But the South Trails at Marquette, like the Pioneer Loop or the Mount Marquette Loop, those are awesome. You get flow, you climb, there's some tech, there's rocks, roots, keeps you engaged the entire time. And then I just have a soft spot for Marquette. So I love that place. Also, like the VST in Traverse City, the Vasa, like super flowy, fast single track. that's one where it's like you can just go get fit riding that because you have to pedal the whole time and you're just diving through trees. It's insane.
Yeah, I like going to both places that you mentioned,
Yeah.
but they have different. They're very different, just like you said.
Oh,
You go to
so different.
Marquette, you climb, you've got technical. It definitely will make you a better rider, but you
Mhm.
also go to the Vasa, and like you said, it's not very climby, and it's really smooth, but
Yeah.
it's twisty and turny, so you can get really good at going fast and learning to control your bike around cornering, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And you're stopping and not stopping, but it's like accelerate brakes sometimes in a
Yep.
couple sections. So, yeah. I mean, I've done it a million times. So I know every corner and it's just a blast to flow through there. But yeah, starting out, you can just going and that's what got me started is riding that loop all the time. So that's got to be one of my favorites as well.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Hmm.
If you were to give advice to younger athletes that look up to you, what would it be?
First thing is make sure you're having fun. I talk about like doing these intervals and stuff, but as a maybe I'm a psycho, but those things are fun for me now that the more I've ridden. But when I was younger, just going, getting lost in the woods was fun. Riding around town was fun. Riding with my friends was fun, not worrying about races or anything. That's like the most common answer you'll hear, but it's so true to just find those things that are fun for you. And the cool thing about cycling is there's so many like niches in this sport. There's single speed, there's mountain biking, there's road. So there's like something you can always try something new too. If you're not into mountain biking, go ride the road, go ride the gravel. It's just such a diverse sport that as long as you keep it fun, enjoy what you're doing, it'll lead to good things, whether it's a race podium or an awesome ride with your family or friends on the weekend. Those are all just great things that the sport provides. So
Yeah,
keep it fun. That's why I love it so much is there's so much you can do.
yeah. Keep it fun. Go out in the woods with your friends. Have fun.
Hmm.
And like you said, you can change it up. You can, like
Yeah,
right now, go jump on a fat bike if you've never tried a fat bike and ride in the snow. It's fun.
exactly. Yeah.
Is there a book or a video or a YouTube channel, athlete or coach that you would recommend young riders follow that you feel may give them some help or benefit them?
There's so much out there and everyone's taste is so different. I don't know if someone's going to watch someone talk about training for 20 minutes or watch some race highlights. One thing that kind of comes to mind, I don't know if they'll be able to do it this year, but like the Red Bull recaps of the XCO races. So of the World Cup cross country races, those are so fun to watch. Like if you want to learn about mountain biking or just see what it's all about, I mean I watch those like on I'll repeat watch them just because they're so exciting and the commentary's good and you get to see what these athletes are doing is a blast. That's an entertaining like YouTube channel I would check out watching those World Cup videos.
Yeah,
Super, they're great.
I agree with that. That is good. And I like those too because they can get you in the right frame of mind to race. I mean, watch one
Yeah,
of
that's the
those
other
and
thing.
then
They get you hype. Like I'll watch those sometimes. And I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's get to work.
heck yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen this year. I'm still kind of bummed that Red Bull's not doing it anymore.
I know. Isn't it bought out by Paramount or Warner Bros or something?
Yeah, I think it's going to
Something
be
like
on
that.
Discovery Channel.
Oh, well, that's cool too, I guess. But yeah, like listen to I forget the commentator's name. Is it like
Rob
Rob?
Warner
Yeah,
and
dude.
Bart.
I mean,
Yeah,
I get chills listening to these guys describe the race sometimes. They're
yeah,
so good. You're like, that's a blast. That's why I recommended that. Is it's just so awesome.
yeah, yeah. They get into it like no other
So
announcer
into
gets
it,
into it.
and they know the riders so well. And I mean, Rob's screaming towards the end of the race, and you're like,
Yes,
let's go.
yeah. I
Yeah,
can't believe what just happened.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
insane.
It's great.
Yeah. So that's some fun stuff to watch about
Yeah,
biking.
good call. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we check out?
If anyone listening, if you ever see me at a race, say hi. Want to get to know as many people as I can. I feel like sometimes at races, I get caught up, or you just do the race and go home. But there's so much more to the sport. I want to be able to just like meet people and say hi, hear about their experience, which is like 50-90% of the fun is like afterwards talking about your race story. So don't be afraid to say hi and keep it fun.
Yeah. I can't wait till you are on the top of one of the biggest podiums and I can say I beat you.
Yeah, seriously. I beat that guy. We'll see. Hopefully I'll get on a couple podiums for you. I'm
Heck
like, well,
yeah.
If Rob were here, you never know.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean,
man.
I remember years ago, like Traverse City Trails Fest, when I first started racing, like we'd get to race together a couple times, and that was always so fun. And then I'd watch your race footage afterwards, but oh, there's me over there, that little there I was. Or I mean, that was always so fun for me. Things like that were like, oh, look, I'm in this video, where kept me going or added some more motivation. So
Yeah.
thanks for doing all that back in the day. I appreciate it. We've had some
Hey.
good races back then.
Yeah, we did. And
Yeah.
then the table flipped and I just couldn't keep up with you. You just progressed so fast.
Oh, I thank my youth, I guess, for just getting stronger. I was in the prime 16, 17, 18, just get faster every time.
Yeah, right. Where can people find you on the web if they want to connect with you?
Find me on Instagram. My handle or username is just my name, Garrett, all lowercase, underscore Jenema. Garrett underscore Jenema, Jenema. Find me on Instagram.
Find him on the gram of Instas, and
Graham.
you'll be able to follow his journey. He's going to be on a good journey here, so I recommend connecting
Yeah,
with him and following along.
sweet. I appreciate it, Rob.
Yeah, Garrett, this has been fun for me learning more about you and about your upcoming season. I wish, like I just said, I could have improved on the bike as fast as you have. It was fun back in the day racing with and against you. I'm going to keep tabs on you and continue to watch you get better. And I appreciate you coming on today, taking the time out to come on the podcast.
No problem. Maybe we can do a mid-season update. That could be fun. Appreciate you having me.
Ooh, a round 2. Yeah, that would be fun.
I've had so much fun. We got to do it again. I could talk
Yeah.
about bikes all day long.
All right. This was fun. And to all the listeners, gratitude. You have just listened to Unpacking the Athlete.